Hey there, brilliant people. So today we're going to take a deeper dive into joy, into what it is and why it's important. Okay, so the first thing with joy is to remember that it is about energetic fitness. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it helps if we look at what I think of as the distinction between happiness and joy. So happiness this is the distinction that I use, is that happiness is when things on the outside happen, happiness happen. So, today is a beautiful sunny day, so that makes it much easier for me to be happy. Other things that make me happy, great cup of coffee, time to read a book, all of those little things. But those things are external. Like, that is the world lining up to sort of facilitate our joy, and yay for that. But those things we don't really necessarily have control over. We don't always have control over how much time we get to ourselves. We don't certainly have control over the weather. But joy is different. Joy is a more independent state. So we could say that happiness is somewhat codependent and joy is more independent, because that is more of an internal state. It's the feeling that we get when we are connected to who we truly are and we're feeling from that space. So it's one of the reasons why when we're talking about our purpose, sometimes we talk about it as our joy of creation, because it's in living as who we truly are, living in our purpose, that we do start to experience joy. And that, because it's an internal state, an internal alignment, we can practice that. And that's how we start to become more energetically fit and thereby get more joy. So the second thing is to tune into your soul seat. Now, why we do that is because with your soul seat, that is a reliable way to connect more and more into who you really are. And as a consequence, that will enable you to practice the right thing, really. So now, in other videos, I've talked about what your soul seat is and how to connect to it. I'll link those below. But when we first start to work with our soul seat, it's pretty simple. It's like a yes-no thing. It's like our soul seat will either feel comfortable or it will feel uncomfortable. But like any skill that we practice, it will sort of get more finely tuned as we go along. And so then as we go along, our soul seat will actually start to almost turn more into a scanner or a compass. It's like, if you were a kid, if you ever played those games where you hid something and then, the people who were looking for it, you told them if they were getting hotter or colder, as opposed, whether they were getting closer or not. Well, your soul seat can work in that way. Like, you can feel it getting more and more open or more closed, depending on whether you're going towards who you really are or away from who you really are. So once it becomes almost like that, almost like a scanner, then it gives you much more capacity to help you connect to yourself and to the things that will give you joy. So as we move into doing more and more of those things that give us joy, we then move into the third thing, which is about mutually expansive exchange. Now, I am going to talk more about the different types of exchange in another video, but for now, just know that there's basically three types of exchange. There's being out of exchange, which is when we're actually putting in more than what we're getting out of it. Now, that can be when you buy something and you get it home and it all just falls apart, or it can be a relationship or some kind of business deal. The thing is, whatever it is in life, when we're putting more into it than what we get out of it, well, that's always going to be an added stress. It's going to be taking us away from who we really are, because it's making life harder. So a lot of people, because we've grown up with so much of that, we often think that it's brilliant to just get to a point where we are in exchange. And obviously being in exchange is much, much better than being out of exchange. But that's not the best that we can do. We can actually create a mutually expansive exchange. And this is made much, much easier when we are living from our joy and we have others around us who are also living from their joy, because there are those things that facilitate both of our joys. So the thing that might connect me more to my expansion, to me living my purpose, might actually support someone else living in their purpose. Like when I had my book published, well, obviously that supported me, but it also supported Hay House, because obviously publishing books is part of their business. But the more that we can live life from this state of mutually expansive exchange or shared joy, well, the more brilliant life becomes. So yeah, the more that we can practice mutually expansive exchange, the more joy we'll have. Now, that moves us on to number 4, because that mutual exchange, that shared joy, that is actually how the universe operates. There is more and more evidence that this is not just an energetic thing, it's a physical thing. You know, that life itself and evolution, it started from this mutually expansive exchange between different organisms. And that is always how we're going to, get on best with life. Because the things that expand, that help us expand, if they help other people expand, well, then that's going to be something we can build on and create more and more momentum. And that is, if you're not sure on how to live your purpose, well, one thing that we do know for sure is that when you are living life from this state of mutually expansive exchange, you're always going to be moving in the direction of your purpose anyway, because that is how the universe operates. So the more that you operate from this mutually expansive exchange, you're going to start co-creating with the universe. And certainly then if you open up your intuition more, you'll find that whole process will just accelerate. And then fifthly, of course, you will continue to develop those skills and hone your skills, because when we are talking about mutually expansive exchange, we're actually talking about interdependency, because mutually expansive exchange is one of the key skill sets of interdependency. And as I said, that's a skill set. So we can practice that. We can continue to develop our skills. And the thing is, one of the reasons why interdependency and mutual expansive exchange supports our joy is it means that everything that we achieve, every joy that we experience, it is added to the fact that, that we know that that has supported other people to also experience joy so that they can expand their life. And that capacity for shared joy is one of the signs that we are truly developing, truly healthy. We are experiencing well-being on so many different levels. So joy isn't just a nice thing. It is a way to live life, and it's a way to live life to ensure that you are very much in connection with who you truly are, and that you are on track in your own life. So there's a bit of a deep dive into joy and the 5 things that support the growth of joy in our own life. So I hope that helps, and practice those things. And until next time, remember that you're perfect.